Welcome to Stomp the Idiot. I am the huge one kid, the idiot Dave Koco from Wrestle AM, a podcast on YouTube, KocoSports, wherever you find your podcast needs. I stream video games every day on this channel and twitch.tv/KocoSports. And we have a Stomp the Idiot from the Twitter, the X Machine, at KocoSports. It is from our good friend Ray T from Houston, Texas. He said me or Sid's Light could join in, but right now Sid's Light is rocking his Twitch stream as RoboCop, so we'll have to bug him a little bit later. But he did give us something on Facebook to tell you guys. Look at him, and look at him playing as RoboCop. Guys, make sure to check out Sid's Light on Twitch and KocoSports. Go ahead. All right, so Sid can't make it. He's busy fighting crime in the mean streets of Detroit. So he goes, after seeing the discourse between Jericho and Konosuke's match at DDT's pay-per-view, is the Western wrestling influence booking-wise helping or hampering Japanese wrestling? Give us your thoughts. And this is a very interesting situation. Because I don't think it's an American-Japan thing. There's a book, it's about globalization. The world is flat. I think Friedman wrote it. Don't quote me on that. And it was one of my favorite books because it just described the world. And the world, obviously isn't flat. What he meant by it is the internet will connect us all. And there are super gaijins that say, oh, that's how it's done in Japan. But it's Japan. That's how it's done in Japan. And there's also people like, oh, we got to Americanize everything. It has to be. And when they say America, they're not thinking of America. They're thinking of WWE. Let's be honest. In pro wrestling's fans' eyes, there's WWE, Japan, and other countries. And I think it's not a country thing. It's a not being yourself thing while also making excuses. The example I give is New Japan, AEW, Dixie Carter's TNA and Impact Wrestling. They have something special. And then they get very close to WWE. And some people, if it's international, they're like, we have to win over the American fans. What they really mean is you have to win over WWE fans. That's what they're really saying. And what they do is they forget who and what they are, and they switch. That's the situation as far as that goes. And I just wish AEW, the original TNA, Impact, New Japan, and not DDT so much, but I wish they remembered who they are. Because New Japan, anytime something is horrible, they tell Japanese people that's what American fans want. And then they'll tell American fans that's what Japanese people want. An example is Evil. There's only two types of fans that like Evil and House of Torture. The fans that love everything, and their opinion shouldn't matter, because if they love everything, if I said, hey, I love every piece of food in the world, let me cook you something, would you trust that? If I said, hey, every single burger ever made is 100% grade A wonderful, would you trust my view? Second is the people that like rub their nipples and they're like, oh my God, I love when pro wrestling fans are angry. It makes me feel good because I think I'm in a business I'm not really part of. And it comes back. And now the problem is there's many different levels of this. People forget what they're for. It's like, so like New Japan blows up and like, we're going to take the American market. But the American fans that love New Japan, they want to see New Japan. Same thing goes for AEW, TNA, and any other company out there. But then someone in the place goes, well, to be like that, you got to be just like them. And they stop being themselves. And they become a carbon copy or a copy of something else, trying to win those fans over. And it never works out in the long run. It barely works out in the short run. So I don't think it's a country issue as much of know what you are. And right now, Japan has a couple problems. One, they want those WWE fans. They want that American market. So they put on stuff that they think you'll like, but no one likes it. And they forget who they are. They forget that they are the king of sports. They forget their AEW wins and losses matter. And you should be judging stuff, especially in this day and age, off standards that you have. An example, when New Japan does something bad, but it's Japan. No. It doesn't matter if it takes place in Madison Square Garden, Korakuen Hall, the Tokyo Dome. It doesn't matter where it takes place, okay? You fans should have something. Companies should have identities, and they should be like, hey, we're different because of this. No one wants to see the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and no one wants to fall in love with something for it to change. No one goes, hell yeah, I want to see the king of sports. I want to see the best wrestling in the world, to go, oh yeah, that reminds me of 1980s American heel wrestling. Not many people want that. And that's what they're doing. And as far as also a problem that's happening in Japan is, of course, AEW is going to win. Japan right now has a major booking problem. They all work together, and the spoiler, the winner is the one that has more money. Of course Jericho's going to win. Tony Khan has more money than Cyberfight. Of course AEW is going to win most major events against New Japan. They have more money. Of course New Japan's always going to beat Noah, DDT, and All Japan and Dragon Gate because they have more money. So I think that's a bigger problem. Not knowing what your vision is a big problem. Having the rich people always win is a huge problem. And on top of that, fans just not knowing what they want. You should know what you want as a viewer, a fan, someone that does reviews. And I despise contract signings. I don't give a fuck if it's in Japan, America, New Mexico, fucking Alaska, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, the moon, Mars. You have a contract signing, I'm like, oh, that fucking sucks. I don't go, oh, that's a contract signing, but it's America. Oh, it's a contract signing, but it's Japan. And I think more and more people have to sit back, especially if they're going to have a conversation and review stuff and that, to know what they want. You don't have to want what I want, but you have to know what you want. And when I hear, oh, but it's Japan, I hear it makes no sense. If you do not like 4-on-4, 5-on-5, 6-on-6s, it shouldn't matter what company or what country it's in. So we would get rid of tribalism and we'll get rid of, oh, America's ruining Japan. No, Japan's just fucking shooting itself in the foot. Oh, that they get 5 stars here. That it doesn't matter. If you have your own set of standards of what you like and don't like, the country shouldn't matter. It should not matter. Now, are some matches better in other countries? Yeah, but mostly it's because of the booking and companies and all that. And I don't think it's an America versus Japan problem. I think it's Japan fucks themselves and Super Gaijins blindly defend it. And I don't think it's an America-Japan problem as we're giving up on our identity to try to get WWE fans. And they're not going to fucking change. Why? If a WWE fan absolutely loves WWE, why would they see a poor man's imitation, New Japan? All you do, and I'm talking to the companies that switch, AEW, Dixie Carter, New Japan, all you do is say, I don't believe in what we want to believe in, so you're going to lose your original fan base, except for the everything is awesome crowd, or oh my god, I love that logo more than another logo. Besides those fucking people, and they're a fucking minority, you're going to lose your original fan base because the people that absolutely fucking love you, you betrayed. To steal a line from the great Muda, you worship a god who does not love you. And that's it. So I don't think we're very lucky. We live in a streaming age. We live in an internet age. We live in an age where there's so much pro wrestling. You can find something you absolutely love. But I don't think it's America ruining Japan. I think it's Japan forgetting who, well, not, that's not fair. Japan companies forgetting who they are. New Japan just forgot who they were. They are mentally broken by the elite leaving and the AEW being successful. They're fucking mentally broken and they just never fucking rebound from that. And they want to go to America to prove that they are fucking a worldwide market. But instead of doing the product that they can make the best, they're just like, oh, no. We're going to be just like this. We're going to change it. We're going to do that. And besides language barrier, as a fan, it shouldn't matter as long as it's good or bad. I see a lot of English speaking fans that put over companies because their success feels like your success. I see people putting over countries because, oh, it's different. You know, it's the Futurama Fry theory, is that, oh, I'm a loser in fucking New York, but if I go to the fucking future and I'm a loser delivery boy, it's in the future. Wow, look at me. I'm not a fucking loser anymore. I'm still a delivery boy. It's a lot with overseas companies. It's like, oh, I hate this. Now, there are certain things. Dragon Gate fans will expect a different product than Noah fans. Noah fans will expect a different product than New Japan, DDT, and all that. So I don't think it's a country thing as much as it is. You have to know what your audience. Well, you personally have to know what you want. Then the companies have to know what their audience wants, and then you have to shine to be the best version of yourself. That's the problem with YouTube right now. Like, this is the best version of me. I'm like, hey man, I'll just shoot the shit, answer some questions. But they want you to edit it. They want you to never make a mistake. They want you to read off Wikipedia. They want you to use clips. They want you to be Mr. Beast. WWE is the Mr. Beast of pro wrestling. Just like Mr. Beast is successful in YouTube, they want every single person to be that. And that's not the case. Sometimes you just want to have a conversation. Sometimes you want to do a different product. And I think today, the most successful companies and people are trendsetters where everyone tries to copy instead of just being themselves. So I don't think it's a Japan-America thing. I think it's on a personal level, it's you have to know what you want. It doesn't matter what country it's in. You have to know what you want. And then on top of that, it's the company has to know what their fan base wants. And it is better to be an original King of Sports, an original TNA Impact, original AEW, than it is to be a copy of something. And here's the thing. That doesn't mean you don't take guys from WWE, but guys that make sense. All right? So, like an example, New Japan. Cesaro coming into New Japan makes sense. The Big Show coming to New Japan does not make sense. All right? That's the difference. Rey Mysterio, in his prime, it makes sense to go to Dragon Gate. It doesn't make sense for, I don't know, I don't want to pick on the same guy. It doesn't make sense for King Kong Bundy to come out of retirement and go to Dragon Gate. And that's the thing. Fans themselves don't know what they want. Companies don't know how to supply the fans. And it's the Mr. Beastification of YouTube or the WWE making it happen. And if you're going to be a cheap version of WWE or a cheap version of American pro wrestling, if you will, then why do you need to exist? Like, even me, I've lately been really thinking about starting my own company. And I'm like, not enough people do this style of wrestling. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm like, hey, when you come to my company, you know what it is. At least you know what an image is. And I've invested in a lot of pro wrestling companies before and helped a lot of different pro wrestling companies before. And the number one question I ask, I say, what is your vision? And the biggest fucking red flag ever, if you're not WWE and you don't have billions of dollars, and even if you do have billions of dollars, it's still a red flag when you say we're a little bit of everything. So, we're just a little bit of everything. All right. Vince McMahon was really good at this with the XFL. Vince McMahon is actually way better at being an underdog in something than being the top guy at something. And I know it sounds crazy, but as an underdog, he goes, well, what is the NFL not doing that we can do? What is the bodybuilding world doing that we can't do? And that's how he fucking thinks. And that's the way many companies could think. I don't think it would ever happen, but I'd love to see a Vince McMahon ran company without WWE. Just be like, what would he do? He wouldn't go head to head with WWE because he's not fucking dumb. And Tony Khan wasn't dumb in the beginning. Dixie Carter was always dumb. Ghetto's pretty fucking stupid. Ghetto is really good at booking 1 year of pro wrestling, and then he fucking booked it into the ground, and now we'll just do anything that's cheesy over the fucking top, and forgot what King of Sports is. I forgot what the record matters. So I don't think it's a country thing. I do not think it's a country thing. And as far as Jericho winning in AEW, that shit happens all the time. Like back in the day, in the territory days, back in the day with WCW and New Japan and All Japan, they did that shit all the time. They did it all the time. Like, hey man, boop, come on over, bam. It's a ticket seller, it's great. It's the same reason why we love to see CMLL in the tournaments. We love to see Dragon Gate in the tournaments. We love to see different companies from around the world, AEW, ROH, in the World Tag League and something. Because, oh man, it just gives credibility to the sport. The problem with Japan right now is even though everyone's working together, there's no credibility because, spoiler, money wins. Yeah, if you're the smaller company, you're going to lose. So that isn't a USA versus Japan problem. That's just a Japan problem. And so I hope that answers your question. I think this went a little deeper than I was expecting it to, but there you go. Also, our good boy, Sid's Light, he had something to say about it, and he just had a take on Takeshita. But he goes, but realistically, this is Sid's Light quote, but realistically, it's hard to deny that Takeshita's momentum died around when Jericho got involved. And that's been the story with a number of young talents at this point. And I could see his point. I can definitely see his point. I think sometimes going to Chris Jericho, especially the younger guys, it doesn't always pan out. And same thing with Edge. There's a lot of these guys that say the right things, but don't. Oh, man, fucking RoboCop's going to get me oh, what are you playing over there, Sid's Light? So I hope this answers your question. And I think this sparked my thing. I'd love to see a lot of content creators. They're not going to. And I might do it myself. I want to see a lot of content creators say what's important to them. Because then you could see where they stand. How many times do you see a guy say, I hate when AEW does this, but WWE does it's awesome, and vice versa. And the same thing. I would love for, just like, trailers to a channel, I'd love to be like, oh, this is what's important to me. Because a lot of times it's Wikipedia Dan just reading off Wikipedia, Mr. I have no take, Mr. Everything is awesome, everything fucking sucks, but the worst is everything this company does is amazing. Everything that other companies do fucking suck. And it would be nice just to be like, it would be nice. I'm like, oh, look at this content creator. And then he's like, hey, man, I love everything. Well, then I don't need to watch that guy. Hey, man, I love everything WWE does, and I fucking hate the other guys. Well, that's a fucking waste of my goddamn time. But if there's a guy that's like, I love luchador matches, and this is the style of wrestling I love, and let me tell you where the best lucha is, then, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, boys. So, I don't know. This opened up Pandora's box. I hope this answered your question. Maybe it did not. But feel free to leave your comments. And also, if you have a comment, what are stuff you look in pro wrestling? Or do you find yourself as the everything is awesome guy? Do you find yourself as the I only defend one fucking company or country? Companies and countries are the same thing, says the anarchist. Or do you have like, no, this is part's important to me. And then none of that, but like, if you list off what's important to you and something stands out, you can be like, well, I normally don't like stuff like this, but this works even though I don't like it. I don't know. And maybe not just wrestling. Movie reviewers that'd be fucking all reviewers, video game reviewers. It'd be really cool. And that's what I always say, like, oh, you got to have standards. I think sometimes people don't have standards. They'll just read Wikipedia. They'll read, or they won't have any takes at all. Oh, or God forbid, if you ever you could pretend, not even pretend, you can be in the business or pretend to be in the business, and everything's wrestling fans' fault. It's like, oh, man. Or you can fucking love that wrestling fans are sad. Yeah. Wait, that happens a lot in industries. It's like, are you even a fan of the industry? No, but I love when everyone feels horrible. Anyway, I hope I answered your question. Go check out Sid's Light on the Twitch. I'm on Twitch, KocoSports. I'm KocoSports on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Kick. I gotta get so many followers over there, so go over there. I appreciate it. No pressure though, but yeah, slowly but surely, I'm gonna try to make as much content as I can. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope that answered your question. With that, I am over. Hey,